Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coffee Talk with Celestine Grace. And my beautiful co-host for today is Fabiana. And
Hello, everybody.
our special guest star today is Vlad the Impaler, also known as Dracula. And I'd like to give him a big round of applause. Thank you, and I appreciate your company here. And he bows. So, I offer all my special guests, special energies, the choice of what song they feel represents what we're going to talk about or how they feel their life was represented when they were here in this incarnation. And I had really no idea where we were going to go with this because was I going to get the Frankenstein music? you know,
I thought so.
right? Or what? And it became very apparent as we were communicating last night what this theme was going to be. And this morning I was like, okay, now what? So he picked one. Hang on. All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, so
He has good taste.
I've never heard that song before today. And
Amazing.
let me tell everybody that doesn't know or not familiar with that. That is the song Fear by Blue October.
Okay,
So
because I do have a couple of questions about fear. So
so
he
let
knew
me
that
just tell
already.
you what happened when I Googled the lyrics. And so here is what it says. It says, fear in itself will reel you in and spit you out over and over again. Believe in yourself
Wow.
and you will walk. Fear in itself will use you up and break you down. Like you are
Wow.
never enough. I used to fail. I fall. Now I get back up. So it's all about how fear controls everybody. So, all right.
And
So,
also about his life. He fell a couple of times in life, and then he raised up and okay.
yeah, so there we go. And he says, we're ready. Let the questioning begin. And he laughs. It's kind of like, let the games begin.
How how does it look like? Celestine, I'm curious. How does it look like?
Well, he has dark hair and he's tall and thin. He presents himself with a goatee, like a mustache and a goatee, and his eyes are very, like, I gotta say the word mesmerizing because I want to just stay there and look at them. And that's just like, all the scary movies that once he takes you in. And he just laughed at me. And it's his energy. I feel like he had the ability to look into your eyes and see your soul.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
he is, I want to say, in his late 30s, and he's relaxed. He presents himself in like dark slacks and just a white shirt, like kind of like linen material. That's best as I can
Hmm.
put it. And he sits back and he said that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Vlad, I will start. First of all, how shall I call you? Vlad was your first name.
He said that is appropriate.
Okay. Vlad, I'll start by actually asking the first question that we have from our one of our members, Heather Glass. And her question to you. is, were you truly a vampire, or you just suffered from anemia?
Just suffered from what?
Anemia.
Anemia.
I know the answer.
So, right, yeah, so he sits back and he just laughs and he goes, that vampire stuff was made up, and this is why I played this song Fear, because fear takes on its own entire energy. So did I suck people's blood? No. And he laughs. He says, I find that quite abhorrent.
Yes.
Right, quite abhorrent. And by the way, everybody speaks with a thick accent, like you would, like a Romanian accent. So I'm doing my best, even though my roots are Romanian. I'm still filtering.
Does it? Did you tell him that, Celestine?
Oh, he knew. Yeah, we were talking about that as well. So he knows of my heritage, of course.
And does he know that I am at his land right now?
Yes. He's, you know, this energy that I know and I'm communicating with, that is Vlad the Impaler as his higher self, and his higher vibration is very different than what is conceived by us here from all the stories that have been passed down, and that fear energy that's been created by the nonsense that people have created, and so he says I was
Yeah.
pretty anemic, especially when I was a child, and they would
Yes.
feed me pig's blood. I'm sorry, it's
Yep.
the morning, please. Sorry, I'm sorry he's laughing at me.
I imagine that.
Well, I feel that stomach thing he felt when he had to drink it.
I imagine that.
So he says that, being nobility, back in the time, everything that we did was a mystery and some kind of held some magical thought for the villagers. And, we would have one that would come up and witness what they had to do. And back in that day, it wasn't like you can go and get a blood transfusion, or they knew to eat, iron pills or anything like that. We did the best that we had with the knowledge we had.
Yes. Yes. So here, as a history major, I went and I looked again in your timeline as to what happened back then, and I do know that the name Dracula that your granddad or dad took was actually because he dared in a group of nobilities that were the group of the dragons. And that's how your perfect sort of Vlad the Dracula, because it was the order of the dragons. And then the Ottoman Empire obliged your father to give away the sons, you and your brother, to the Sultan in Turkey to be raised and educated there. Am I correct?
Yes, that is accurate, he said.
I have a question. When you were there, you and your brother, what, how were you treated? What did you do?
His brother comes in and sits next to him. I don't know
Okay.
his name or anything like that, but I know the energy to be,
His
his
name is
brother.
Radu.
He said, "Congratulations, that was beautiful." um, so they said they had to stick together because there are many that did treat them as royalty in the upper crust, because they would have never dared to have not treated them well, to be reported back to his family, because there would have been consequences to pay. But there were others there that were quite jealous and calculating, to undermine my brother and I, and we had to stick together very closely, uh, because what they're doing is they're showing me like some of the students are jealous So it's not the administration, but the students, and that's what they stuck together to stay and protect each
Okay.
other against,
Because I
with
understood that
whatever.
they did that with all the other nobilities all around the Balkans. And then I'll go back and ask you about also the Albanian, because I have Albanian origins. And they did that with all the Balkan countries. And they meant to raise you and educate you amongst other Turks to sort of brainwash you and make you go back and serve for Turkey. Is that correct?
That was the undercurrent. It certainly wasn't what they presented to our families when they told us to, we went in with the understanding that we would come out skilled strategic planners and leaders for our own country, where we would have allegiances with other countries to protect the circle. That's certainly what we went in for, but the undercurrent at the end and after we were in there apparently was that they wanted everyone to serve for Turkey.
Yes. So you later became a very angry and cruel person, as you also described yourself. But I would hope so that as a child you weren't.
Um, I'm watching scenes, so stand by. So when his father was present, there were many times when they had family time, and they absolutely felt love. But I don't know what's wrong with mom. I know she's self-absorbed, right? And I don't know that she. I feel like she may have died early or young, right? And then dad had to go and serve duties, so they felt very isolated. And I don't want to say unloved, but neglected was the word that both he and his brother used. So they turned to each other, and when this opportunity for them to go to this school came up, his father, jumped at the chance, but, again, with good intentions.
You were three brothers. Your older brother stayed back with your dad, Mircea,
Hmm.
who then you learned that he was killed. Actually, he was buried alive. That made you very mad. Was it then when you really started to become angry and cruel?
Far before that, boiling beneath my skin, watching and waiting for my opportunity, trying to understand what my brother went through before he passed. Pushed all of that anger and emotion to the surface. And the only way I could make up for leaving him there, I felt very responsible for his demise and the atrocity of how it happened. And I was determined to avenge in kind times 10 what he went through.
Okay, so you started. This happened to all the young men, sons of nobility, Balkans nobility. They, when they reached the Sultan's palace, they were innocent and loving children, and then they really, most of them became very angry, frustrated, and when they came back in their countries, they were quite cruel.
Yes. Yes. They were teaching us and showing us. They were putting fear in us Because if we did not think, act the way they were teaching us to move forward as soldiers, this is what would happen. It was an unpleasant situation when we were in war games.
I want to go a little bit like back and forth a little bit. This is the story as a human when you were here. Like, my question is, were you born awake? Did you have any idea who you actually really were?
Well, he says I was born like every other human being, and he does like this. Soul.
Mm-hmm.
They came to be here with particular purpose in mind. Awake? No, I would say very much the opposite, because if I were awake, I would not have been what I was to so many people and responsible for so many horrific things. So it was not that's okay, I'm not judging, I'm saying I was not, because that was my place in history, to teach people. Had I been awake, that would have never happened, and this entire conversation wouldn't be happening either.
Correct. So then that's my following question. Why did you choose this life? What did you want to learn and teach?
He says, why do we choose anything in life, really? I mean, the
Okay.
only answer to that is for the soul to move forward in its evolution, taking back all its experience to source energy, so that source energy can know itself in its own spectacular greatness.
The reason why I'm asking is because your endeavors went beyond your family, your country. You're still spoken about nowadays. So you came back right after your father died, and you learned that your brother had died as well. You came back and you took over for your country, and you started to rule right away with an iron fist, correct?
Absolutely. That is accurate.
So, and that is because the times demanded that style, right?
There was no other way. And the reason that fear is the entire basis of this interview is because back then there was no media in place. There were no politics. We will call it only barbarics to teach the lesson, and the lesson was fear. If you don't, you're for me or against me, and if you're against me, this is what's going to happen. And he says, I did it to instill the most fear. And he says, in your terminology today, I would say the biggest bang for your buck. So when I cut off their heads and speared them, it was very little energy exuded to put the most fear in many people. And that fear created its own energy, and it swept through the villages.
So that's a good explanation. Um, when you in another interview with Allison and Carrie, which I really enjoyed so much, you did say, "I'm really sorry for all the. I apologize, sort of, for the cruelty that I had to sort of apply, but that was the times demanded it, and you couldn't rule if you didn't
Yep,
really bring fear."
that's right. Fear. They were afraid to come attack. Anybody would have to question 2, 3, 4 times if they really wanted to meet with that end, had they come, and that was the greatest thing. And again, that's why fear. I want to tell everybody that fear is your greatest detractor. You don't need to go to the lengths that I did, to instill fear in somebody. But what I'm going to sit here and tell you is, you do not have to accept that fear energy as your own.
Yes.
You stand up and you say, this is an illusion. My biggest problem is that I'm afraid of the outcome. Well, you're not smart enough to know, no offense, the outcome. Face your fear and move on. How great are you? And that's what I had to do, and I did it by instilling fear.
So it seems to us here now that I completely understand what you're saying, because from reading all the history of the Balkan countries, actually all Europe countries, back then, this was the theme: fighting, fear, power, outpowering each other. What about love? I'm very curious. I know there was little room for you to pay attention to love, but you married twice. And I want to talk to you about love. How was love for you back then?
So he sits back and he crosses his legs, right, like this, and he becomes pretty thoughtful. And he does like this with the goatee.
Okay.
Right? So he says, so for me, love was my parental love. That was the most basic of everything. In my growing up and in my teens, there were thoughts of romantic love but when I had to perform my duties to my country and to my father, my brother, I became very hardened and not believing in that energy other than parental and child. I married, yes. Was that for love? No. That was to carry on the bloodline.
Okay.
And
so you didn't.
When number one was done, I brought in number two, and that was for convenience, for physical need.
So you didn't love any of them, right?
No.
And you didn't care if they loved you. I mean, nobody asked this question, right?
He just looked at me and he's like the typical guy. No.
I thought so.
I'm like, whoa, okay. And then
Yes.
my female brain, excuse me, Vlad, I apologize, my female brain goes, asshole. And he's laughing at me. He goes, no, but you were asking for my human actions back then, and that's what the
back then, absolutely. So, but you though, I am curious also to know. Okay, love in that sense, romantic love, that was really very many people did not really experience that. Let's talk about another sort of love, which I don't know if you want to call it love, but like friendship.
Oh,
Did you
yes.
have a friend?
I have very many friends. I have a camaraderie is the word that he's speaking, is he's using. With all those who went out and fought with me and for me. I was very loyal to many. And yes, camaraderie and friendship, I had much of that.
Okay. And you found support on those men. Because a man needs support, man. Come on.
Yes.
I want to challenge you now a little bit.
What's that?
I want to challenge you now a little bit. You can't be self-sufficient. You need support. You need the love of a friend or of a woman.
Right. And he said I was surrounded by love with my comrades, my warriors, my people. And that's the love that I drew from. I was as loyal to them as they were loyal to me.
Yes.
So yes, I did draw love from that. And that's where he says after my father and my brothers passed away, that was basically where I made my family, is what he said.
Yes, yes. That happened to many people. Well, good. I'm happy that you weren't like completely isolated and alone. Internet was not existing, right? So when did you know that people were talking to you in a fearful way? especially outside your friends or your country?
Well, he says, listen, everything I did was for that purpose. All the nasty displays of gore was
Yes.
for the purpose of people to start talking about me, to instill fear in them. And you're right, without the internet, all we had is word of mouth. And
Yes.
wow, what a storyline that was told whence. I,
What did he say?
he said whence. I never say that word, okay. He says, and the storyline that came out when all the prattlers, he said, went back to the village to tell them of the gore that I left behind. That was the full purpose. So hopefully that happened as soon as I left my mark,
Yeah.
because that was the point.
And you actually really achieved that very fast. The historic documents tell and describe you exactly like that. Now, alliances. I'm sorry. You asked for help from Hungary, and you got help, but then somehow you got arrested from the same person who rallied with you against the Turks.
He says, the greatest deception for me, not recognizing
So he
that.
used you, in other words?
I'm sorry, what was
In
that?
other words, he used you?
Yes, he was
Mm.
what you would call today a double agent.
Yeah.
No, working for both sides, but really only for one, appearing to work for one and really working only for the other, and obtaining information. And they were very intimidated by my power. The Turks thought I would be overtaking not only them, but the entire Eastern Europe as you know it today.
Yes.
And that was what happened. It was jealousy and fear yet again. So that
Yes.
same fear, wow, quite the lesson. I'm glad. He's like, shit, yeah. So the fear that he used against his enemies was used against him.
To sort of keep him in his place.
Yes.
Did he go further than Hungary? Like, had he ever heard about Skanderbeg, which was ruling at the same time down south in Albania? Had he heard of his endeavors to keep Ottoman Empire away?
Um, so he's going to answer the first part of that question first and then ask the second question. He says, yes, I was aware of that territory. I had people, scouts, as you would call them now, in every direction surrounding. I was very strategic. I didn't go to that school for nothing, and not only was I did they teach me strategy, I was very adept at planning as well. So I've had very many scouts in all areas, so I was very much in tune with territories well much around Hungary and Romania and surrounding.
Okay, so you knew about this man in Albania fighting at the same time like you, fighting just like you against the Turks, but also the other princes around him.
Yes, they made sure I knew about him.
But back then, Albania was quite far. I mean, that to travel so far it would take
So he
for
says,
alliances.
yes, he says by horseback, and he shows me having to like blaze it and cut down thick green vegetation. There's no roads
Yeah,
back then. It would
yeah.
have, while beneficial, not many would have really survived that trip anyway.
So, as a spirit, I know Celestine just told me that you feel very like much different from what
Yeah.
you were described in the historical documents. But is there anything amongst all your incarnations that sort of carries your a particular part of your personality as a spirit?
So he says, after that lifetime, I was released from all the heavy stuff because
Okay.
I would say I was pretty successful in experiencing the polar opposite of what we would call joy and happiness. That
Yes.
was really the polar opposite. And we spirits, we sparks of God's source come here to experience that lower thing so we can know the polar opposite and take it back to source energy. So after I released that need to experience that, I was okay to get the exact opposite experience in every other incarnation that I chose. So here we'll call heaven for your reference. There is nothing but happiness and love, and he laughs. His energy is like quite light, and he's been joking around with me for 2 days. And like I said, it's quite funny because in my head I hear him with that thick accent, and it sounds like the Dracula people on TV. So it's kind of funny, and I'm amused, and he's laughing at me as well because that's how I'm hearing it. But and he's joking with me. It's early for me here, everybody. It's 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and I'm usually crashed after a long 40 plus hours at a day job, and then channeling whatnot at night. So I wouldn't have normally put makeup on. No offense to anybody, you understand, but so he keeps talking. He says, "You're really going to do my interview with no makeup?" And he winks at me, and I get this light energy, and I was like, "Okay, let's do this." So I sit down and I put the
There you
makeup. I go to
go.
put the makeup on, and he says, and he very particular about the color. So I said I was getting like, are you fabulous? Do you like the makeup? Were you
How
bisexual? Is that what
beautiful.
you're telling me? And no offense to anybody, but
Yeah.
many of my bisexual friends or homosexual friends are the best makeup artists on the earth. So so I got kind of that like, and he was like, no, love is love, and I like makeup. And I was like, okay, then I'm going to trust you to make me look really good.
You
So
do look beautiful,
thank you
Celestine.
so much. And so,
Good
yeah,
job, Vlad.
he's high five, high five. But so yes, his energy. So I've learned much. There was other lifetimes, and each and every one since I got that was happy. So what happened was, and what happened, I'm going to give you all this little introduction to Spirit Advancement 101 for now. So you get that lower vibrational crap out of the way and you don't judge it. I mean, look how many
Correct.
people I murdered, right? I can't judge it because I did that so source energy could know its greatness, whatever. You don't judge, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
you got rid of that shit, and then you go on to this next time. So you don't have to experience that shit, right? And
Absolutely.
you move forward because your vibration is lighter, right? You're not
Yeah.
so heavy. You don't have to worry about this. And then you experience things in this incarnation that you've chosen.
Yeah.
And then you move forward, and guess what? Your spirit is vibrationally higher when you come back in another incarnation. And this is how your spirit evolves, and you choose what it is you choose in each incarnation, not only to learn and to move forward and raise your vibration, but to help others do the same thing.
Amazing. Thank you, Vlad. So
He blew you a kiss.
here's bello. frumos, as they would say here, frumos, beautiful.
He does like this.
But it's amazing, though, how we view here on this level the lessons, if you will. We talk about you and other heroes, right? And we talk about your endeavors and unity, national pride, fight against the oppression, fight against the aggression, fight and then keep it up for the nation, for the country, for so and so. So, what can you please? Okay, I know you don't want to judge, but what can you tell me about how we view these lessons?
So he's laughing again. He is so light because he goes, I can be so light because I know what I know on this side, right? And he's like this. And he says it's that every one of those incidences, occurrences, happenings in history has its place in everyone's timeline. To understand the polarity and to remember how to get back to being one as a whole. We started out as a whole, and that's all we knew, and we came here to experience everything else. And the goal is to come back, remember nothing, and then as we go on, remember again and again and again until we are joined with the highest of realities, that we are one. And if we choose to come back, we choose to come back. But that is kind of the advancement of how you get back to one with the whole. And it's all your own choosing. It's not like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And he's like, slapped his knee and he's laughing. He goes, shit, no, it's not like that at all.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
I thought
like
so.
you get to choose whatever you want. Whatever you want. Whatever you feel you need, you want to experience again and again, or not at all. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Vlad, how did you die? Did you get killed?
So, he is indicating that he passed of a disease, and it's the weirdest thing. You know, I don't know if it is, but I feel like it's as a result of having that anemia problem his entire life, right?
Yes.
And what he does, he makes me feel bile in my mouth. Nasty. Thanks again, man. Like, you know, and that's associated with liver disease.
Yes.
Oh, we were talking about this earlier too. Maybe this is how it's going to tie in too. He's telling me, yes, that he did have a serious liking for alcohol.
Okay.
And I asked him, oh yeah, what? And it was apricot brandy, right? Like a brandy, and he gave me this apricot and an apricot taste. So,
Okay. So sort of a psoriasis for the
well,
liver.
you know what he says? He's like, well, no, I wouldn't say cirrhosis, but because of my weakened condition,
Okay.
you know, my liver was susceptible to failure earlier than it would have been for someone without that, you know, medical issue.
And how was your crossing over? Did you have a life review?
Pardon me?
Did you have a life review?
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he goes, okay. He's getting serious now, you know.
Okay.
And he leans over and he goes, while everything had its place in history,
Yes.
I still had to feel the oppression and the pain that I caused. and nations and many people. Even without judgment of the situation, I wouldn't have fully learned the lesson had I not felt what I caused.
Wow. Wow.
And it was, as I said, without judgment, without regret. But I still felt that. And it was so that I could never have to cause or go back there again. So it had a purpose, and I'm very grateful for it, yes.
Wow. Oh my God, I feel like hugging you right now. Like this.
He says thank you. He says thank you. And you know, when he asked me to put makeup on, he kissed my hand this morning. So he just did that to you too.
Sweet. Are you reincarnated again
Oh,
right
many,
now?
many, many times. He says
Okay.
yes. He says, so I got to experience that part. I came back many times to experience the good parts. And there are other parts, you know, every soul goes through that we design for ourselves, but nothing that would compare to that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, many, many, many times I came back for all the good stuff. So what he's comparing it to is like that was like, oh my God, I got all that shit out of the way. Now I'm on vacation for the rest of my incarnations, and he's showing me water slides and stuff. And I'm like, cool. I like it. And he says, yeah, man, it was fun. It's fun when you come back and you get all that crap out of the way. You can do all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad for you, Vlad. I'm glad for you. So, I don't know. I guess I exhausted my questions. I
It's okay.
would.
Eric's here, as always, my man, and he just gave me a big wet kiss on the cheek. Good morning, Eric. I know I didn't have enough coffee this morning. It's okay.
I was wondering if he has anything at all
He
to.
absolutely, positively, imperatively does. Stand by. Stop tickling me. I love you, but stop tickling me. Okay. So, you know, so what happens for me is spirits show up, and you know, my good girl Holly will say, so you know, when coffee talk, is there anybody that pops up? Who would you like to interview? And she says, Fabiana, my dear friend and sweet sister, is available to do an interview, and she loves history and she loves historical figures. What do you think? And immediately, the energy of Vlad pops in because I am Romanian and Hungarian as well. My, you know, given last name is that background. And I thought, this is it. Here he is. Let's do this. And I thought, well, you know, it's not like this hasn't been done before because, you know, our shiny sisters and my loves, Carrie, Mina, and Allison at the Shiny Show have interviewed, and a beautiful interview with Vlad before. And I'm sure plenty others that I haven't seen, but they all have a specific message at a specific time sometimes, right?
Yes. Yes, they do.
So here
And
comes Vlad
thank.
about fear, right?
Okay.
Fear. And look at the climate of
I was
our
about to
world
say,
today. And this was a point that he wanted to make this morning, and we were discussing in my head when I asked him about, so, you know, why now? You know, why now, Vlad? Because you've been done before. No offense, I love you. Let's do it. But I'm just trying to understand why now. And he says, no, it's okay. And because he says I was all about fear, you know. And this is
yeah.
Eric's question to him. So in our climate today, the political climate, not only in the United States, not only, you know, across seas and with
Yeah.
the unrest, what do you have to tell us? Because you instilled this fear in an entire part of the country without the media coverage that the same factions are doing now with media coverage and 50,000 times the availability of assets that you had, right? What, Vlad, can you tell the people out there about this? And Eric's serious today. I love him. He's not usually very serious. He's quite the jokester. We all love him to death, but he's like, this is going to help so many people. I think this is important, and let's talk about this. So, Vlad says it's a very important question. That's why we're here today. I want to tell everybody that fear takes on its own energy. I'm going to be a little bit jokeable, but we talk about poltergeists, and everybody's afraid of poltergeists. And who is this past spirit, this past poltergeist that is causing all this, whatever, in somebody's life? Guess what? It's not a who. It's an energy you've created with fear, and your mind gives that fear so much energy it becomes a life unto itself.
Wow.
So, this is the same kind of energy, this fear energy, like I gave to everybody, cutting off the heads and putting them on the stakes and getting that message out.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of energy I created, and to be known as Dracula. And did I suck blood? No, but damn it, it got me a lot of fear, and it got me a lot of people wanting to say, oh, I'm not going to cross his path. I'm not going to mess with him. I'm going to run the other way. And that's exactly what I wanted. I want to take over everybody. And that's how I did it, with fear.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm telling you, everybody, you don't have to give this energy, this fear, to the climate of fear that's already there. How can I help today? Give that energy to love. Meditate. And that creates a love energy, the same as the opposite would create a fear energy. And as that love energy gathers and gets bigger and bigger, that's how you solve things. And that's how we come together. And that, I want to tell you all, is where you're headed. You don't have to be afraid. This is what this entire thing is about. Stop being afraid.
Amazing message, both of you. And it just so happens, Eric, today I listened to the interview with you and the wonderful Kim Babcock about stress. And you said to her the same thing. One person stresses, two person stresses, three people stress, and they sort of make it grow like an avalanche. Do you mean to say that is the same with fear?
Absolutely, that's exactly.
Wow.
I'm not contradicting myself. No, that's exactly the same thing. So you have this, and let me emphasize that what you hear in the news today is bullshit. And this is Eric. So we'll take 100%. Here's your 100% of the news energy, right? And this part's true. This part's made up, and everybody takes that as the word. And it is specifically designed to instill the fear, the same kind of fear back when I was doing it, and in the same way, just in a way that multiplies exponentially because of the medium, because of how widespread it gets. So, not only do you have that 1, 2, 3, 4, like we were talking about with Kim, you have millions and millions.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I'm telling you all, don't subscribe to the fear. When
Big
you
lesson. Big
stop
lesson.
adding fear to fear energy, it weakens and it gets smaller. And when you add that to the love, it gets bigger and bigger and can
Wow.
move mountains and conquer things. And this is how the planet evolves. And you're coming to that. That's why I don't want anybody to fear.
Amazing message, Vlad. Amazing message.
He is so sweet right now. Like I said, his energy, and he just kissed me too. I got both of them right here.
You're
And
wonderful.
it tickles when Vlad, because I can feel like
The
the
hair in his
goatee.
face, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But
but
this is huge. This is huge, people, because we so fast though give in to the fear, and we forget to say, "Hang on, no, no," to the love,
mhm.
and we need to just break that cycle.
So, there's going to be factions that are extreme on any side. What you call terrorists, what you call white supremacists, what you call whatever, right?
Yeah,
So, recognize that for what it is, an imbalance to show people how to come back to balance. I personally, Celestine Grace, do not watch the news. I haven't watched the news for years. I don't know. I don't add to that. I don't need it. So much of it is a lie. I'm not going to lend any of my energy to what's not 100% true. I'm not judging anything. I'm coming to center to realize that what's going on is to change what's broken and what needs to go up. And I simply give my love energy and healing energy out as I can.
amazing. Wow, Vlad, Eric, thank you so much. And Celestine.
They're doing like this, and I'm giving Vlad my homie, my fellow Armenian, a little thank you, man. I appreciate it. A high five. So, everybody, I want to tell you about a couple things. I want you to all, if you haven't already, go to www.channelingeric with a K .com and check out my friend Eric Medhus and his very wonderful mom, my
Mom,
my dear friend Elisa
Elisa.
Medhus, and she and Eric have done incredible work with recognizing that there is just a vibrational separation between the us here and those on the other side, and her story and Eric's is amazing and incredible and can heal so many. She's written many books. My son and Conversations with My Son in the Afterlife, and Eric's got a book out there too, and they're amazing. I also want to say thank you to Holly Bartlett.
Thank you, Holly.
And check out, if you're not already a member, Basics 101, Basics of Spirituality 101 on
Exactly.
Facebook. And I'm Celestine Grace, www.divinemessages.love, and that's LOVE. And you can book an appointment or reading with me there. And I just want to thank you, Fabiana, my sweet sister, my
Thank you.
Fab girl. Fab stands for fabulous, which you are.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. This
Holly,
was amazing. Thank you.
yes. And Holly, no boo boos today.
Yes, this was good.
This was
This was
great.
good.
And
Yes.
Holly, thank you. And Vlad and Eric. And I'm so grateful to be able to deliver these messages and teach. And hey, look out for some great things going on with me, Fab and Holly, in that teaching
Yeah.
form as well. We're going to blow you away.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Much love to everybody.